Well, the NFL draft is over, and Alabama had a handful of players. Well, more than that, two handfuls of players drafted by NFL teams. We're going to talk about the guys that went in day three and what the future of the capstone looks like without these guys. What's it mean for the program? I think it's a good thing when you see guys take a step from the University of Alabama to the NFL. And then one transfer, a linebacker from South Alabama, Khalil Jacobs, that Alabama would love to come and play the stinger position. We're going to get into that too, right here on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Let's get this thing going. Here is your invitation to the party. Roll Tide, everybody. What do you say, everybody? Mick Gillispie at Broadcaster Mick, and it is great to see you guys on this Sunday as we talk Alabama athletics. I used to say football, but now basketball is definitely a part of the conversation. But let's start with the NFL draft before we talk about a transfer that's going to end up at South Carolina. And it's over now. The NFL draft is over, and Alabama had another really big draft season. And day three of the draft, as you probably know, pick 105 to the Chargers. Justin, a big B, went to LA, right? He's a defensive lineman. He was a guy that dealt with that neck injury, came back, had a good season. So good for him. These are positions in the NFL where you want someone that can get after the quarterback, that's going to make a difference. And a big B's that guy. So congratulations to him. Down the draft, a team that's really getting a lot of heat right now for drafting a quarterback, Michael Penix, after they signed a quarterback in the offseason, and it looked like, hey, let's get some weapons. No, they have two quarterbacks, and now they have a great running back as they get Chase McClellan from Alabama with pick 186. The Falcons are that team that just, seems to do things the wrong way. But who knows? I mean, quarterback's a tough position. These guys get hurt all the time. So now with McClellan, you got some, obviously some depth at that running back spot. He was a guy that I thought really never reached his potential at Alabama, but could go to a team in the NFL, be a great third down back, be someone that could really help you in, passing situations because he can catch the ball, and we'll be pulling for him just over the line in Georgia playing for the Falcons. Another guy that was picked that I think a lot of us really loved was Will Reichert, the kicker, right? I mean, how important is a kicker? Well, this guy set the SEC record for the most points. Will Reichert was slated to go to the NFL a year ago. And we're like, hey, let's just, give you some NIL, come back. You earned it, and he did. And he did a fantastic job for Alabama. He leaves, he goes to the NFL, and now Minnesota should have a really top-notch kicker. It's going to be interesting to see how that translates into the NFL. But Reichert in college was as good as it gets. He's one of the all-time great Alabama kickers. Some people might even say he's the greatest kicker that Alabama's ever had. I'm not arguing with that. So congratulations to him and Minnesota taking him with pick 203. And then another guy in that secondary from last year that's gone is Jalen Key. He goes to the Jets, pick 257. You talk about that secondary, and it's an area on this field that reminds me of how good they were last year with Terrion Arnold and Kool-Aid and now Key. And then you talk about all the guys that transferred out. Alabama has a lot of work to do to replace these guys because they were so good. But Key, the last guy that Alabama had drafted from this team. And when it's all said and done, we're going to look back at the Saban era of Alabama. He made millionaires out of a lot of players, and he was the greatest coach in college football history. The winning, the success that those guys have had in the NFL, and what he's been able to really teach these guys moving forward, not just in football, but in their life. So, that's it. That's the wrap on the draft. And now Alabama is focused on something else, and that is adding players from the transfer portal to the roster. And we're starting to really wind down the transfer portal. We talked about Ed Woods. He's in Tuscaloosa. I think he's going to end up at Alabama. I think that's going to happen soon. Maybe you're watching this video and it's already happened. Keep an eye on that. But another guy that Alabama's targeting, probably not going to commit right now, but in the near future, being sought after by Houston and some other teams, is Khalil Jacobs. Now, why is Jacobs important? Because Kane Wommack had him at South Alabama. He's a tackling machine. He's transferring out. Alabama wants him to come in, slide into that stinger role. He'll know the defense better than anybody else at Alabama on their defense just because he's played it already. He's a guy that's comfortable with that scheme. And so look for him to get to Tuscaloosa probably, next weekend. And I would think that this is an easy fit for him. I mean, if you're going to get the opportunity to go to Alabama and be an asset to the football team, why wouldn't you take it? I mean, you can go to Houston, but it's Houston. It's not Alabama. I mean, Alabama, as he knows, as Kane Wommack knows, basically gave up the head coaching job at South Alabama to be an assistant at Alabama. And that really gives you an idea of the impact that it has to be part of that Alabama program. So Jacobs is a guy to keep an eye on, but he's starting to talk about what that means, what it would mean. He's got a scholarship offer to Alabama. Look for him to come to Tuscaloosa. And I would think that Alabama is going to focus in on trying to get this guy signed, sealed, and delivered for the football team. And maybe one of the last transfer portal moves that the Crimson Tide make in that season. And that season is kind of like this. Like, you don't have a lot of time with it. You got to make a move and get it done. You got 15 days. And it's not like there's a ton of guys that you're really interested in. And Kalen DeBoer's talked about this. He wants guys not only that fit the roster, but also fit the culture at Alabama. He doesn't want to disrupt the culture, which I think is a good thing. And then at the same time, you want to be able to bring these guys in to make your team better. I think that's the bottom line. So we're going to have some news later on. One piece of news pertaining to basketball team is that Nick Pringle has found a home. He is going to South Carolina. So Nick Pringle transferred to Alabama, and now he's transferring out of Alabama after, putting some time in with the Crimson Tide. He was a guy that seemed to always be in the doghouse. Probably not a bad guy, but just a guy that had a tough time following the rules. So he's transferring out of Alabama, and he's going to South Carolina. So we wish him the best. And that's just the way the college basketball works these days. I'm hearing stories of guys wanting millions of dollars. And I'm not even exaggerating. Millions of dollars to play basketball and leave the program if they're not going to get it. And Alabama's not paying that. This is a guy who had a tough time following the rules and obviously, I mean, he flew to what was it? Out to Seattle. I think it was Seattle, right? By himself, so like, yeah, but we saw him play his best basketball in the postseason. So, I mean, we know he can play basketball. I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but at the same time, we got guys coming in. We got guys going out. He's one of the 6 guys that's transferring, and he's going to end up in South Carolina. So wish him the best. But we got some basketball news coming up for you guys too. So keep an eye on the channel. We're going to probably talk about that a little bit later today. Thanks for hanging out with us here on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. That's always a way to say, hey, man, we enjoy the videos, and look for, again, as I mentioned, something coming up here really soon. Roll Tide, everybody.